Abdul Carter is dominating New York Giants training camp, and the scary part is that he has barely gotten started. 2 practices into the John Harbaugh era, the number 3 overall pick from the 2025 draft is beating Andrew Thomas, one of the best left tackles in football, rep after rep after rep. That is chapter 1. But the story of these Giants is bigger than one edge rusher, because this is a team that fired its coach, traded away its best defender, and still walked into camp carrying more belief than it has held in years. Pro Football Focus graded Carter 11th among 115 qualified edge defenders as a rookie, and that was the floor. Start with the quarterback, because everything here runs through him. Jackson Dart took the job in Week 4 as a rookie and threw for 2,272 yards with 15 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions, then added 9 more scores with his legs, the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in a single season in franchise history. Around him, the front office made a move nobody in the building saw coming. They traded Dexter Lawrence, a 3-time Pro Bowler and one of the best interior linemen alive. What came back is the hinge this entire offseason swings on, and it is worth the wait. Then there is the receiver everyone is holding their breath on. Malik Nabers tore his ACL 10 months ago, and this week he ran a full practice while his new head coach watched and smiled. The Giants open on September 13th at home against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, and whether the number 1 receiver is on that field is the question sitting on top of everything else. Carter, the trade, the return of a star, in a division that will not slow down to let anyone catch up. Chapter by chapter, here's why the Giants are the most interesting rebuild in the NFC. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Giants and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 300 likes on this video. On paper, the 2025 Giants were a 4-13 disaster, and that number got a coach fired at mid-season. Brian Daboll was let go with the team spiraling, and the franchise bottomed out for a 4th straight year with no playoff win to show for it. That is the indictment, and it is fair. Records, though, have a way of lying, and this one buried a season that was quietly turning into something the franchise had not felt in a long time. Look closer. The Giants won 2 of their final games, including a 34-17 beating of those same Dallas Cowboys in Week 18, a game where Jackson Dart posted a career-best 110.2 passer rating. The rookie went 4-8 as a starter while missing his best receiver and his lead back for most of the year. ESPN's Seth Walder pointed to Carter's 20.7% pass rush win rate, 5th best in the entire league, as proof the sacks were coming. The talent was already on the field. The wins were the part that had not caught up yet. Brian Burns removed any doubt about the talent. He finished with 16.5 sacks, a career high and the 4th most in a single season in Giants history, trailing only Michael Strahan and Lawrence Taylor on that list. He did it while accounting for 52.4% of the team's sacks, the largest share by any player in the league since J.J. Watt in 2014. One caveat worth saying out loud: a defense that leans that hard on one man is a defense hiding a problem underneath. And underneath, the Giants faced a decision that would define their whole offseason. The season really turned on a single afternoon. Sitting at 0-3, the Giants benched veteran Russell Wilson and handed the offense to Jackson Dart in Week 4 against an undefeated Chargers team. Dart won the game. On that same day, reaching for one of Dart's throws, Malik Nabers landed wrong and tore his ACL and his meniscus, ending the season for a receiver who had caught 109 passes as a rookie. The brightest new day in years and the worst injury of the season arrived inside the same 60 minutes. Then came the rookie running back nobody outside the building was ready for. Cam Scatterbo, a 4th-round pick out of Arizona State, rushed for 410 yards and 5 touchdowns in 8 games and added 207 yards through the air, one of only 5 players in the league with 400 rushing yards and 200 receiving yards through Week 8. His season ended in Philadelphia, on an illegal hip drop tackle that dislocated his ankle. Two of the team's 3 most exciting young players were on injured reserve before Halloween. Abdul Carter lived the whole season in miniature. He had half a sack through 9 games and heard every question about it. He answered them himself, telling reporters, "I gotta do better." Then he closed the year with a sack in 4 straight games, the longest such streak by a Giants rookie since 1982. The record said 4-13. The tape said a young core that kept getting hurt at the exact moment it started to click. That is the story this entire offseason was built to finish. Every rebuild starts with subtraction, and the Giants subtracted plenty. Brian Daboll was the first out, fired mid-season as the losses piled up. In free agency, receiver Wan'Dale Robinson signed with Tennessee on a 4-year, $78 million deal. Tight end Daniel Bellinger followed him to the Titans, and edge rusher Azeez Ojulari left for Philadelphia. Those are rotation pieces walking out the door. The departure that actually stops you cold is a much bigger name. In April, in the middle of a contract standoff, the Giants traded Dexter Lawrence to the Cincinnati Bengals. A 3-time Pro Bowler, one of the best interior defenders in football, simply gone. Here's the catch, and it is the reveal the opening promised. What came back was the number 10 overall pick. Stack that next to the number 5 pick the Giants already held, and a team that just dealt its best defender suddenly owned 2 top 10 selections in 1 draft. That is the move that rewrites the math on everything after it. Be honest about the risk, though. Even in a down year, Dexter Lawrence was double-teamed at the highest rate of any pass rusher in the league. And trading him means every protection now slides toward Brian Burns. The middle of this defense got thinner the day that deal cleared. General manager Joe Schoen bet that 2 premium picks were worth more than 1 great player stuck on a struggling defense. Whether that bet lands depends entirely on what he did with those picks and on the man he convinced to run the whole operation. What arrived is the biggest name of the entire offseason. On January 20th, the Giants hired John Harbaugh, fresh off 18 seasons and a Super Bowl in Baltimore, on a 5-year, $100 million contract. This is the most accomplished head coach the franchise has landed since Tom Coughlin last raised the trophy. Owner John Mara reshaped the power structure, so Harbaugh reports straight to him. And the culture change was instant. Players described longer, harder, more physical practices. A former Harbaugh player told The Athletic that anyone expecting business as usual was in for a rude awakening. Harbaugh did not arrive alone. He brought offensive coordinator Matt Nagy, a former coach of the year, and hired Brian Callahan, a former Tennessee head coach, specifically to develop Jackson Dart. He added Greg Roman as a senior offensive voice. Then he went hunting for weapons. Tight end. Isaiah Likely followed him from Baltimore, and the Giants signed receivers Darnell Mooney and Juju Smith-Schuster to give their young quarterback the supporting cast he never had as a rookie. The most talked about addition, though, is a familiar one. Odell Beckham Jr. is back in a Giants uniform for the first time since 2018. He is not a lock to make the roster, and it would be fair to call the signing a story as much as a football solution. But stack Isaiah Likely, Darnell Mooney, Juju Smith-Schuster, and a healthy Malik Nabers around a second-year passer, and the group that dragged Dart down last year looks nothing like it did. The weapons arrived. The real question was always whether the draft could fix the other side of the ball. This is where the Dexter Lawrence trade finally pays off. Holding picks 5 and 10, the Giants drafted Ohio State linebacker Arvell Reese at number 5, a player a lot of evaluators called one of the best in the whole class. 10 selections later, they took Miami offensive lineman Francis Mauigoa, projected to start at right guard and protect the quarterback this rebuild is built around. 2 top 10 rookies in a single night, and one of them was purchased with the very defender they traded away. The value did not stop at the top. In the second round, the Giants added Tennessee cornerback Colton Hood. In the third, they grabbed 6'4" Notre Dame receiver Malachi Fields, another big target for Dart. Later, they found defensive tackle Bobby Jamison Travis, and BYU linebacker Jack Kelly. This class was designed to fix the two things the roster lacked most, which were youth in the front seven and protection up front. And both Arvell Reese and Francis Mauigoa are projected as Week 1 starters. Rookies are promises, not guarantees. And a linebacker plus a guard do not replace an all-pro tackle overnight. But look at the shape of the trade tree. The Giants turned one unhappy veteran into a starting linebacker, a starting guard, and change. For a franchise that has spent a decade collecting top 10 picks with almost nothing to show for them, this was the rare haul that hit need and value at the same time. Which brings us to the part nobody in East Rutherford wants to rush into. Here's the honest section, and it starts with the player we opened on. Abdul Carter generated 66 quarterback pressures as a rookie, 11th most among 115 qualified edge defenders per Pro Football Focus, and turned them into just 4 sacks. That gap is the one number that has to change. At even a league average conversion rate, 66 pressures point closer to 9 or 10 sacks than to 4. The pressure already reads like a star. The finish still reads like a rookie learning to close. Fix that in year 2, and opposing coordinators have a nightmare on their hands. Then there is the health of the whole thing. Malik Nabers is running routes, but he has told everyone plainly, there's no target date. And there is real talk of him opening the season on injured reserve, which would cost him the first 4 games. The run defense is the other worry. Trading Dexter Lawrence left a hole in the middle that a rookie tackle and some veteran depth now have to fill. And last year's unit already ranked near the bottom of the league in yards allowed. New coach, same soft interior, at least until the pads prove otherwise. Cam Scatterbo adds one more asterisk to all of it. He is the engine of this offense, and he spent the summer rehabbing an open fracture and a dislocated ankle, then attempted a backflip at a fan event that made his coach and his general manager sit him down for a conversation. Joe Schoen said he would rather him not do that, especially this close to camp. The talent on this roster is not in doubt. The availability of all that talent at the same time absolutely is. That gap is the difference between a fun team and a real one. So where does this leave the Giants in 2026? The NFC East is a shark tank. The Eagles are champions. The Cowboys and the Commanders both roll out franchise quarterbacks. And New York has not won this division since 2011. Climbing out of the basement means beating teams that are simply further along the road. That is the mountain in front of them. But for the first time in a long time, the Giants employ a coach who has climbed a mountain like it before. It all begins on September 13th, at home, under the lights, against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Whether Malik Nabers suits up for it is still unknown, but Jackson Dart already beat those Cowboys 34-17 to close his rookie year, so he is not walking into that one afraid. Here's the honest projection. This is a 7-9 win team, a jump of several games, with a legitimate shot at .500 if the young core can stay upright. Not a contender yet. A team, finally, unmistakably, pointed the right direction. Here's the claim worth arguing about. Abdul Carter finishes the 2026 season with double-digit sacks and lands squarely in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. And John Harbaugh wins more games in year 1 than Brian Daboll managed across his final 2 seasons combined. Tell me where that is wrong down in the comments, and drop your Giants win total before the next breakdown drops. Because the next one digs into the single unit that could still sink all of this, the offensive line, and whether Andrew Thomas can stay healthy enough to hold it together.